first. Today I'm going to be giving an information session with a couple of our current students, and I also have my colleague Kate, who's going to be helping us answer some questions on the back end. But I'm thrilled that you're here to learn more about WPI. Before I get started, I'm going to allow the rest of the folks on this call with me to introduce themselves. So Kate, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Bello. I'm one of the counselors in the admission office, and we are excited to be sharing some time with you tonight to go through this virtual information session. We want to share a little bit more with you about WPI. We've heard really great things about all of you as Frontiers participants this summer, so we're excited to spend some time with you this evening. And I'm going to be working the Q&A behind the scenes while Claudia and Ellie and Neeraj present. So we hopefully will be able to get to all of your questions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Neeraj. Think of your knee and think of a ridge. That's how you say my name. I'm a rising junior from Houston, Texas, studying biomedical engineering as well as pre-med. On campus, I'm involved in Greek Life, South Asian Student Association, and I'm a residential advisor. I'm happy to present to you our information session today to you guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie. I'm from Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. I'm a rising sophomore here at WPI, chemical engineering major, and on campus I'm involved with the African Students Association, the International Student Council, and also I'm a teaching assistant in the chemistry department. I'm really excited to tell you more about WPI today and answer your questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Ellie and Neeraj. All right, so just to give you a sense of what's going to be happening today, we're going to go through an information session. We'll then have some time for some Q&A, the question and answer portion, and that's going to be about an hour long. As you can see, we can't see you on the other side. We are in the webinar interface of Zoom, but you do have the ability to ask us questions. So feel free, if you have any questions that come up throughout the presentation, feel free to ask them in the chat box. In addition to sharing information with you about WPI, we are going to be having some polls go up throughout the session today. So I hope that you can participate and answer some of those polls to engage with us. And before we go along, Neeraj, would you like to share the results to see where students are joining us from?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. So it looks like most people are from the Northeast, but we do have someone from the Southeast or Puerto Rico and the Mid-Atlantic. Welcome. Happy to have all of you here and happy to tell you more about WPI. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So today's presentation is going to cover a couple of topics. The first one we're going to talk about is the WPI plan. This is essentially how we deliver academics at WPI. Then we'll talk about campus resources and student life. And last but not least, we'll touch on admissions and financial aid. So why WPI? This summer, you're probably going to be partaking in a lot of different information sessions to get to know different college campuses virtually. And so we've just summarized three sort of distinctive factors of WPI. So the first thing that we want to make sure you know is that we do deliver a STEM-focused education where humanities matter. So all of our students do have to take humanities or arts coursework while they're at WPI. So you do have your STEM focus, but we also want to make sure you're well-rounded. And so that's where the humanities and arts piece comes in. And we'll talk more about that in a couple of slides. We are also a research university with a project-based curriculum. So this is important for you to know because almost all of your classes here at WPI will have some sort of project component. And these projects oftentimes do require that you are working in teams and working on something tangible. So it's important for you to know yourself, ask yourself some questions. You know, are you comfortable working by yourself or do you prefer to work on a team? Because our curriculum does require that teamwork, that's something for you to know, and it's really essential to almost all of your classes that you're going to be taking at WPI, so big projects. big on projects. And then last but not least, more informed, making the most of your education while you're at WPI. Our students can do that in a couple of ways. We do have a dual degree bachelor's and master's program, which our students can take part of. And we also have co-ops that you can do, which basically is an opportunity for you to gain professional working experience as a college student. And I'll talk more about that in a couple of slides as well. So to tell you a little bit about our academic programs, so we offer over 50 degree programs at WPI. About a little over 90% of our students do graduate with a degree in a STEM related field. Okay, so the most popular program right now is engineering. We have 12 different types of engineering programs at WPI, everything from aerospace to mechanical to robotics engineering. Robotics is actually a program that we started at WPI, and we now offer a bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees in robotics engineering. The second most popular program currently is computer science. So for students who are interested in computer science, you have the ability to have a concentration, whether you're interested in artificial intelligence or cybersecurity. You can customize that major to take classes in an area that might interest you most. We also have another subset of our students who major in the science and math field, so majors like biology, biochemistry, chemistry, physics. These are options for students as well. And we also have the ability for students to minor in things. Business is currently the most popular minor, believe it or not. And the business program at WPI does have a STEM focus to it. If you're interested in double majoring, to give you a sense, about 1 in 10 students will double major at WPI, and about 1 in 3 students will add a minor to their major. So options there to learn different areas that you might be interested in. And as I mentioned earlier as well, we do have the dual degree bachelor's and master's program. This is an accelerated program and it might not be for everyone, but we do have some students who graduate in 4 or 5 years with their bachelor's and master's degree. So certainly an option. And if this is something that you're thinking about, it's important that you talk to your faculty advisor about it as soon as your first year, just so that they can help you with the planning throughout the 4 years or the 5 years that you're at WPI. For students who might not know exactly what they want to do, maybe you have some interest in STEM but don't know what you want to study just yet, that's okay. About 20% of our class enrolls as undecided. So students have the freedom and the flexibility in their first year to try different areas of study. Perhaps your high school maybe hasn't exposed you to different areas in STEM yet. You can do that when you come to WPI. If you think you might want to try computer science or mechanical engineering or biochemistry, you certainly have the opportunity to do that. When you are applying to the institution, you're not applying to a major, a certain program or school within WPI, you apply to the institution as a whole. And so we make the decision to admit you or not based on our belief that you'd be able to find success in any one of our STEM programs. So that's really important to know, is that you don't have to know exactly what field you want to study when you're applying to WPI. Another fact that I want to share with you that we're really proud of is our retention rate at WPI from a student's first year to their sophomore year. That's at 95%. And this shows that, you know, in a student's first year at WPI, they do gain a lot of support. We have something called the Insight program, which pairs students with a community, a faculty, and a community, faculty, and a residential advisor, so that there's someone working with the student in their first year on all these different fronts to make sure that their transition from high school to their first year of college goes smoothly, because that transition can be rough for some students, and we want you to know that you will have support in your first year at WPI. We also have a 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. We try to keep that on the smaller end just because of the project-based nature of the curriculum. Hopefully, some of you have already seen our virtual tour, but or maybe you haven't, but if you would like to, I highly encourage that you check out our virtual tour. You can see some of our labs and technology and facilities. If you type in virtual tour WPI on Google, you should be able to get a hit, or you could also just find it on our website as well, so you can check out what campus looks like. And we do have a new academic building that's being planned for 2021. So that's really exciting, just to give our students more space to do their research, do their projects, and everything else that they have going on. And I'm gonna share, oh, Neeraj, thank you so much for sharing the results. So it looks like most people that are tuning in today are interested in pursuing some area of engineering, which is really cool. And we also, I see computer science is a really popular area as well. So thank you so much for participating. Next slide, I'm gonna transition here. I'm gonna hand it over to Ellie, who's gonna tell you a little bit more about the WPI plan. And if you take anything away from us today, I hope it's the majority of the WPI plan and how this functions. So Ellie, you.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia, for that wonderful introduction. So the next thing I'm going to speak about is the WPI plan, and this is how we learn here. So I was told with some of my friends that a while ago, around 1973, a couple of faculty members here at WPI came together with a change on how they deliver education to students here, and they changed it to such a way that students will be taking charge of their own education. Then that way they just set themselves apart in the world, and they prepare themselves as entrepreneurs. This is simply because they're going to be built as leaders who are able to go out there and face the real world problems and help them in solving by using the knowledge that they just acquired from their time here at WPI. Next slide, Claudia, thank you. So the next thing that we all love to speak about is our wonderful academic calendar here at WPI. Our classes are divided in 4 7-week terms. So have the 8 term that runs from late August to mid-October. And then afterwards, you'll get a short break that is from about a week long to 10 days long. And then from there, you have the B term that runs from late October to mid-December. And after that, you get the traditional Christmas break or winter break rather. And then you have the C term that runs from mid-January to early March. And again, you have a break that is about a week long to 10 days. And then afterwards, you end up with the D term that runs from mid-March to early May. And after that, we'll go into the summer break. That is for a really long time. It starts from May all the way to late August. And at some point, we could finish as early as late April to late August. So one thing that I would love to point out, these breaks are real breaks. You don't get any work that runs over between A and B term or C and D term, only with an exception of GPS, which is the project that runs between the 2 terms. So with these 3 breaks that you have in the middle, that means you can catch up with all the Netflix shows that you are holding up all the time, or the sleep, and you have the time to yourself. And some of you I know might be wondering, how does A term work with 3 courses? Does that mean you're learning so much less than all other students, or you're covering less material? No, that's not the case, because we have an abridged program here at WPI, and you meet with your faculty members, faculty or professors, and your PLA or teaching assistants more frequently in a week. So for science subjects, you'll be meeting 4 days in a week, and that means you would meet for an hour and cover more materials compared to if you only met twice or once a week. And for your humanities subjects, you meet twice a week for 2 hours long. So that means you're getting that time to meet those with your professors more frequently. And honestly, with this, if you love the subject, then you can go quickly through the materials, and then you enjoy the more of it. And if you don't want to do the classes, or you don't enjoy the class, then that means you can just go through it quickly, and then you're done with it. So either or, you benefit from it. So summer really runs for a long time, and then you might be wondering why WPI chose to do this. WPI purposely put this long, about 4 months break for our summer in order to enable our students to attend their internship opportunities or co-ops, Then that way you're well equipped. At the time that you leave with your education here, you don't only have your degree in paper, but you also have the real work experience from the companies that you'll be working with during your time that you're studying. And over the summer, we also have the optional e-term that runs from June to July. And some of you are really familiar, almost all of you are really familiar with this, because with Frontiers now you're taking classes from the e-term, the E2. So you are seeing how it would work out as students here at WPI. Next to that, our non-punitive grading policy here at WPI is really unique. We have the ABC or no record system, and we don't have the D's, E's, and F's. And this is because WPI really wants our students to try and go beyond their comfort zone. So with the no record, you are flexible to taking a class, no matter how difficult it is, without worrying that this grade is going to go to my transcript and then it will destroy how it will look or how it will appear to my GPA. And similarly with the A's, B's, and C's, you also get to do or have more experience with your subjects that are in particular to your major. And one thing that I would love to point out, most of the students here at WPI never have to take the no record. And this is because the faculty members or the professors really try and work with you closely to make sure that you are obtaining or you are getting the most of the knowledge as possible throughout the course time. Next to that, we also have the flexible curriculum. We advise pretty much and you decide what you want to do. So once you come here at WPI, you had Claudia saying that our president has currently initiated about getting more info. So once you arrive here initially, the Academic Advising Center really tries and works closely with you in order to obtain the most of your time here. So once you're in, you get a general academic advisor who would advise you generally on what you want to do. But as more after you decide what major you want to take on, then they will be working with you closely to that. And you can also use efficiently your credits that you get from high school. So for those of you who do the AP system, you can count a 4 or a 5 towards your time here at WPI or towards your courses. Then that way you don't have to keep on repeating classes that you already know or materials that you have already covered in high school. And for those of you who are doing IB, you can count a 6 or a 7 from your high level classes towards your degree here at WPI. And this way is how you are able to do either a double major or a dual degree. So some of you might have heard earlier, I'm not sure if I mentioned, I'm interested in the BSMS program in management, and I did the IB. So the Academic Advising Center has really been working with me, for example, personally, in order to work my schedule well, in order to be able to attain this degree at the end of this. So no matter what you really want to achieve in terms of the academic experience, the Academic Advising Center or WPI really works with you generally with your time here in order for you to make them most efficient of your time. So with that in mind, I'll pass over to Neeraj, who will be speaking to us about the project-based learning.
Thank you, Ellie. So the next biggest component of the WPI plan is the project-based curriculum. Students experience project-based learning almost every single day in every class, but there are 4 major projects that you have to complete during your time at WPI. 3 are required while 1 is optional. The very first project is optional, which is the Great Problem Seminar, or GPS. So this GPS is typically only for first-year students, and it allows students to gain exposure to WPI's project-based curriculum. GPS focuses on real-world problems, such as heal the world, field the world, and a few other projects as well. GPS is also over the course of 2 terms, just like Ellie said. During the first term, you'll be researching problems and solutions. You'll be researching potential problems to real-world problems. You'll be researching information about real-world problems. And then the second term, you'll create teams to help create solutions to those problems. GPS is a great introduction for first-year students because it really gives them an idea on how project-based curriculum works at WPI. The second project is the Humanities and Arts requirement, or project. As a student, you can choose what humanities you want to pursue. These include art, music, English, history, writing, philosophy, and many others. In humanities, there are two components. There's a breadth and a depth component. Your breadth, which is typically 1 to 2 classes, are the humanities you want to focus on. Your depth, which is 3 to 4 classes, are the humanities you want to focus on further and ultimately complete a project in. So during your time at WPI, you'll take a total of 6 humanities courses. 5 of them will be of your choosing, and the 6th one will be a final seminar or capstone project to wrap up everything you learned in those first 5 courses. For example, my depth was in writing and English, and my breadth was in history. So because I focused more on writing and English, my research project was about why intracultural communication is important in the medical field and how it could be further improved. But you don't have to follow what I do. A lot of students who do pursue music as their humanities ultimately end up composing a piece of music that will be played by the WPI's band or music organizations. Your humanities project can be completed anytime during your time at WPI, but many students typically complete their humanities projects during their sophomore or junior year. Now, the last 2 projects are the biggest projects during your time at WPI. First is the interqualifying project, or IQP. This project is usually done in your junior year, and a lot of students do go abroad for IQP. IQP is equivalent to 3 classes. So this means you'll be completing either IQP by going abroad, which means you'll spend that term abroad in that country finding a solution to a real world problem, or you'll be completing over the course of 3 terms by taking each part one at a time. Typically, like I said, a lot of students do go abroad so they can finish it all over 1 term, but many students do it over the course of 3 terms to spread out their classes. When you're doing IQP is non-major related, so you will work with other students from other majors. The reason why WPI does this is it allows you to learn how to collaborate with your teammates to find a solution to a real world problem, especially since they're not from your major. This allows you to cooperate and collaborate with different people with different mindsets. This is also a great project because you're learning how to use your engineering mindset, but through a social science lens, and ultimately learn the impact of science and technology on society. For example, for my IQP, although I have not completed it yet since I'm only a rising junior, I'll be going to Wellington, New Zealand in C-term. But many students completed the project before me. There are a lot of projects related to climate change exhibition, tsunami awareness, public perception of sea lions, and many more. So this is what it means by through a social science lens. And of course, last but not least, the final project is the major qualifying project, or MQP. This project is done throughout your senior year and incorporates everything you have learned, such as soft skills, hard skills, communication skills, and combines it into one big project. This project is major related, so you will work with other students within your major, within your own area of expertise. There are 2 ways you can do your MQP. The first way is you can create your own team and complete projects pitched by ideas from professors or companies, or you can generate your own idea and pitch it to a faculty member and they can help guide you through that process. Typically on campus, many companies will come and professors will pitch their ideas to groups of students. And those students take on those ideas and turn them into tangible items or tangible research reports by the end of their senior year. An example MQP is a group of students try to grow tissue engineered heart valves in a multitude of ways and see if they can make them more mechanically robust and stable in the human body. And next is our study abroad program. Thank you, Claudia. So next is a study abroad program. A lot of students, like I said, completing their IQP typically do go abroad, but there are also many other opportunities to complete your humanities and arts project and MQP abroad as well. There are over 50 project centers around the world, and WPI guarantees every single student up to $5,000 to travel. So it's ultimately up to you whether you want to travel or not. There's no obligation to, but it's definitely an experience to try out. If you don't want to go abroad, you don't have to. There are various opportunities within the US or domestically at WPI to complete your IQP project. One thing to remember when doing projects abroad is when you're completing projects abroad, students will not be doing any other work or take any other classes during that time. This allows students to work on their projects at hand and solely focus on their research and ultimately come up with a good solution to that real world problem. So up next, we have a short video going over the different projects of IQP and MQP off and on campus.
I found different from my high school was that at WPI, everyone is there because they love to learn.
Project opportunities are built into all 4 years of the WPI curriculum.
My name is Marco Villar. I'm from San Diego, California, and I innovate building materials. What I would like to go into is finding alternative methods that make a building less harmful to the environment. I knew that with WPI's project-based curriculum, I'd be able to get that hands-on experience. You get the chance to apply what you learned in a classroom out onto the field.
I'm Bree, and I innovate infant respiratory rate monitors. For biomedical engineering design class, you're presented with a problem. So ours was to create a device that will help prevent sudden infant death syndrome. It's so incredible to have something that I can look at and say, I did that. I created this in 7 weeks.
My name is Chelsea Ross Miller. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I innovate regenerative medicine. I've wanted to be a doctor since I was 13. It's one of those few things in my life that hasn't changed. So I didn't want to go to college where it was going to be back to Scantron tests. I wanted to go to a place where I could actually do something with what I was learning. You really have that opportunity all the time to be innovative and to apply your knowledge. And so that's important to me, even getting my biology degree, to be working towards something that's going to be benefiting healthcare in the long run.
My name is John. I'm from New Jersey, and I innovate robotics. Frankly, the whole robotics program itself is innovative. We think of robotics like a 3-legged stool. There's one leg that's the mechanical engineering side, one leg that's the electrical and computer engineering side, and then one leg that's the computer science side. You become really well-rounded, and that's what companies love. I never really thought that I was going to be building robots from day one in my robotics class, but I was.
In their junior year, students embark on the interactive project, what we call the IQP. About 90% of our students do their IQP off campus at locations all around the globe.
I have been working in a community called Machiniwa. We are located in Cape Town, South Africa. Right now, I am standing in one of the community members' shacks. These shacks are amazing, but there's no light. They're all metal, so how is any light gonna get in? Ever. We started sketching out some ideas, and I'm still blown away by the fact that a bottle of water, bleach, and just put it in a hole in your roof can allow so much light into a shack that you would be able to replace a 50-watt light bulb with this bottle of water. It's incredible. It's what the community really wanted, and it's a new and innovative way to do it.
Welcome to Venice!
This is the measuring stick that's used to measure the water level. These are actually devices that we made ourselves.
The work here was really giving Venice a way to monitor their canals, and Venice's canals are like their roads. It's how they get around, it's how they transport things. IQPs will do that. They give these cities and these countries ways to improve how they're doing things.
The best thing about being a WPI student is that you're finally with a community of people that have the same passion and values that you do.
They may not realize it, but they're changing the world as they're college students. They don't have to wait until they're out of college to change the world.
You honestly have the chance to make the change that you want to make.
I'm going to try to improve my community, and eventually, who knows, I will change the world.
We're no longer students, we're thinkers, we're researchers, and we're innovators pushing the world to become something different and something better.
We innovate everything.
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 So yeah, overall, the project experience and the WPI plan really allows students to gain a lot of soft skills and hard skills that they can use in their jobs and careers. Just like that, just like all those students said, it helped them build confidence, teamwork, and presentation skills. And they learned what they applied in the classroom and applied it to real world problems. All these skills set us up for success, and to talk more about that success after graduation, I'm going to hand it back over to Claudia.
Thank you, Neeraj. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Career Development Center, also known as the CDC. So the CDC is a resource that students can start using beginning their first day on campus. As a first-year student, you're welcome to begin using the services and resources that they offer. Some of the services they offer include resume and cover letter critiques. They'll do mock interviews with students in case you have an interview coming up for a co-op or internship or job. They also have a database called Handshake, where they have all of the different internship, co-op, and career opportunities for students to take a look at. And if you're not sure of positions or opportunities that you should be applying for, there are advisors who could work with you to give you advice. It's important to know that the Career Development Center is there to give you the tools and resources that you need to find these opportunities. They will not find them for you. You know, they'll give you the information, and then it's up to the student to go ahead and apply for the opportunities that they have available. In terms of career fairs, they host two really big ones, one in the fall and one in the spring. They invite over 200 employers to each of these career fairs. And it's a nice opportunity for students of all years to meet employers and talk to them about their companies. The students get to hear more about those specific lines of work. If there are any sort of career or internship or co-op opportunities, that's usually a good opportunity to find out about some of those. And a lot of times their students will come prepared with their resumes and cover letters. And oftentimes employers will ask students, you know, even at that career fair, tell me a little bit about a time where you worked on a project and maybe things didn't go according to plan. Tell me about a time where you worked on a project and things went really great and successfully, and a time when you had a challenge, and tell me about your conflict resolution skills. So they are asking these questions because our students do have the experience, and you oftentimes will have tangible examples that you can pull from, whether it be from a class like the Great Problem Seminar or an IQP or MQP that you've completed to draw from. So that's really it's really useful to have those experiences when you're talking to employers, because they want to see that you have the experience of working with other people and working on projects. The CDC also polls the class that recently graduated each year, and they publish a report called the First Destinations Outcome Report. And essentially, they'll ask the class that just graduated 6 months after they graduated to tell them about where they're working, if they went on to graduate school, which grad schools they're attending, what's their average starting salary, information like this. And so all of this information is published for students to be able to look at. If you type in First Destinations Outcome Report, you can find it online. And they do it for, I think we have the records for as early as 2010 or 2012, but definitely I encourage you to take a look at that. The last one that was published found that the class of 2019 had an average starting salary of about $72,000 a year, which is well over 30% above the national average. So that's some good information for you to take a look at. It's organized by major in case you're curious to see more details on that. Now, to talk a little bit about campus life. So WPI is primarily a residential campus. First year students are required to live on campus, and you're also guaranteed housing in your first year. In terms of upperclassmen, you have the opportunity to, housing is not guaranteed, but about 62% of our upperclassmen will choose to stay and live on campus. Oftentimes those who live off campus will still live within a mile radius of WPI, so you're still close to campus, and Worcester is pretty residential in terms of the area, so students will find housing off campus within a mile away. In terms of extracurricular opportunities that we have for students, there are over 250 clubs. We're an NCAA Division III school, and I'm gonna allow Ellie to tell you a little bit more about what those extracurricular opportunities look like, because you're coming to college to also have a social life, so she'll tell you that.
Great, thank you, Claudia. So as Claudia just said, when you're coming to school, you're really not expecting to have life outside your classes. It doesn't mean you only have to deal with academics. And WPI did put that in mind for their students as they're planning their curriculum and their social life in general. As Claudia mentioned earlier, WPI is NCAA Division III varsity sports. So you really can get whatever you want. If you're that person of with a competitive spirit, you want to join that school team, you want to present the school somewhere, you'll get your people. Or if you want to do a sport just for fitness, just for fun, you also have your group of people. And also, since we have the clubs and intramural sports, you also have that opportunity of just learning. Because I've seen a wide variety of sports that are involved around, so all the way from underwater hockey games to volleyball. So it really depends on what you love. And based on that, you have an option of selecting. And some students really do these activities for credit. Some of you might have heard at WPI, we have a requirement called personal education. So you need to do such kind of physical activities for credit before you graduate from here. So some students find themselves doing even more than what is required because they just want that fitness and whole mindset to maintain their sanity as they're dealing with the academics as well. Another thing, we have more than 250 clubs and organizations here on campus. We have one poll that I see some of you might have contributed here. So as I spoke earlier about athletics and clubs, I see about 44% of people are really interested in that. But then in terms of clubs and organizations, we have all the way from student government organizations to cultural clubs, Greek life, honor societies, and music and performing arts. So I have seen, for those of you who are here, you see about 1% are interested in two student organizations, and 13 and 31 respectively are interested in the Greek life and honor societies. The Greek life societies here at WPI, I would really love to point out they're a really strong community. I was really shocked with the amount of effort they put in helping students in my year when they came in on the moving days. You would see all of them coming in together as a family, helping you to move your stuff into your dormitories. That just showed to me that there are people here on campus who are really looking for you and they're welcoming you. That no matter who you are, you're really going to find those people who want to live like you outside the classes or outside your major. And I'm personally involved with the African Student Association and the International Student Council. As I said earlier, these fall under the cultural clubs, and some of you might imagine being far away from your home country, how that could be overwhelming, not seeing somebody who speaks your own language or eats your own food. So meeting in those smaller groups of people who are from your own native places, it really gives you goosebumps that really help you moving on. So no matter where you are in the world, it shows you still have your community. So WPI has really tried a lot to help students, no matter what their backgrounds are or what they really love doing, to help find your life outside your academics. So we can rest assure you that no matter where you're from or who you are, there is something for everybody. In the very least, you'll find groups of people who are even aside on introverts like you. Then that way you all join a journey of finding things that you love together. So with that in mind, I'll pass it over to Claudia.
Thank you, Ellie. All right. So moving along here to Worcester. So I know when I first started working at WPI, when I first saw the word Worcester, it was difficult for me to pronounce it because I thought it was Worcester or Worcester. I had never actually heard someone pronounce Worcester. So the W in our name is Worcester. We get our name from England, and it's very much a college town. We're the second largest city in New England. First is Boston, and the third is Providence, Rhode Island. And Worcester is, the reason why it's one of the largest cities in New England is because of the number of college students that live here. So over 38,000 college students live in Worcester. We're home to schools like College of the Holy Cross, Worcester State University, Assumption, Clark, so on and so forth. But what's nice about that is that we're also in a consortium with these schools, and there are a couple of benefits. Our students get to take courses at those other institutions if a course you want to take is not offered at WPI, you can do that through one of our through one of the consortium schools. Or if you're interested in attending perhaps an event that that other school is putting on, you could oftentimes attend for a reduced cost or for free. So you get to grow your social network even beyond WPI, if that's something you're interested in. And one of my favorite things about Worcester, so I'm from New York City. I was born and raised in the Bronx, and I grew up eating a lot of different kinds of food, being surrounded by a lot of different types of people, cultures, religions, and I love the diversity that Worcester has. I know that if I'm ever craving, some comfort food, there's an Ecuadorian Colombian bakery here in Worcester. There is Mexican food, Japanese food, Greek, and so I've really appreciated the diversity that Worcester has, and it reminds me a lot of home. So a lot of great places to eat. If you're looking to sort of explore a larger city, Boston is about 50 miles away. About 1 mile from WPI's campus is Union Station. So students can go to Union Station and take a train, a commuter rail straight into Boston, if that's something you're interested in doing. The commuter rail could also go into Providence and Rhode Island if you want a sort of bigger city feel. So that's some things to keep in mind. In terms of applying to WPI, we have a couple of different application plans, that you could apply through. So we have early decision 1 and 2, we have early action round 1 and 2, and then we have regular decision. And you'll see when you have to apply by, when you'd be notified by, and the enroll date. So one important distinction that I want to make between our early decision and early action plans is that early decision is a binding commitment. So if you apply through one of the early decision plans, you're essentially committing to attend WPI if you get accepted. With our early action plan, you get to apply earlier, you get your admissions decision earlier, but you still have the opportunity to decide whether or not you want to attend, and you have to let us know by May 1st. With regular decision, it is the later application date of February 15th. You do get a notification a little later by April 1st typically, and by May 1st you have to let us know whether or not you want to attend. So that's some things to keep in mind. It's our first year rolling out these early decision plans, so that's really exciting. In terms of things that are required, we do require the common application, which thousands of schools are using. It's a really easy way to be able to submit an application to multiple schools. We do have a supplemental essay for WPI, which essentially asks you why you think you're a good fit. And we're looking for evidence to see that you've done some research on the university and can tell us why you think you'd be a good fit here. We also require your high school transcripts. We're looking to see your grades from junior year to, from freshman year to junior year. And we want to see that you've taken 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 2 years of a lab science. And when it comes to math, we want to see that at the very least you've taken pre-calculus, because the lowest level of math that we offer at WPI is Calculus 1. In terms of letters of recommendation, we want to see at least 2, one from a math or science teacher or STEM teacher, and then another one from your counselor, college counselor, guidance counselor. Things that are optional are your standardized test scores. So if you feel like your standardized test scores aren't an accurate representation of your academic abilities, you don't have to submit those. We won't penalize you. And we're actually celebrating our 14th year of being test optional, which is really cool. And I know some of you might be interested in doing a personal interview. We are doing those for students who are rising seniors. So I know some of you may already be thinking about doing an interview with us, which is really great. That's not mandatory by any means. You can decide whether or not you want to do that. It's up to you. And in terms of what we're looking for, we're evaluating applications holistically. So what this means is that it really does go beyond the numbers. We're trying to get a sense of your character, of who you are, your personality. Some things we want to see are things that show us evidence that you're someone who enjoys working in teams, that you're someone who loves math and science, but also have passions outside of these areas, that you want to make the world a better place. You have the opportunity to do that through these different projects. You want to chart your own course, and that you're someone who's creative and curious. In terms of the academic profile for our last accepted class, those students typically were taking strong courses in high school in math and science areas. So if your high school offers honors classes or AP classes or IB courses in math and science, we want to see that you've taken advantage of those. The average class rank was in the top 9%. Average GPA was a 3.92. And test scores for the middle 50% of students who did submit test scores, they got between a 1310 and 1480 on the SAT and between a 28 and 32 on the ACT. Now take these numbers with a grain of salt. I don't want anyone to feel discouraged if they say, oh, these numbers don't look like mine, or this is not what my profile looks like. They're just an average, and we share them because oftentimes we get asked about these pieces of information. And now moving on to scholarships and financial aid. So WPI, when we're evaluating your application, we're need blind. We're not looking at your family's ability to pay when we're reviewing your application. In terms of merit aid that we offer, or types of aid that we offer, we do offer need-based aid and merit-based aid. Last year, 97% of our students received some sort of financial assistance in the form of scholarships and need or merit-based aid. Oftentimes, well, you will need to submit your CFSS profile and your FAFSA if you're someone who is interested in applying for need-based aid. Those forms are required and they're available as early as October 1st for you to start filling out. In terms of merit-based aid, you don't have to submit any sort of separate application to be considered for merit-based aid. You're automatically considered if you're accepted to WPI. I do want to put in a quick plug for FIRST and VEX scholarships. If anybody is a part of FIRST or VEX, we do have some specialty scholarship opportunities for that, and they do require a separate application. So you can check out our website for more details or be in touch with me after today's presentation. And we are pretty much at the end here. I do want to save some time for us for our Q&A, but if you're interested in keeping up to date with us, please follow us on social media. You can follow WPI Admissions on Instagram, WPI_CK on Instagram as well. And you can ask us questions if you want to engage with us. We do have a number of different other opportunities that are posted online. We have virtual sessions for students to learn more about different academic programs. We have some virtual tours that will be live. And so I do hope that you check out our website to see other ways that you can engage with us.
Thanks, Claudia. I think I'll add a couple things too. If you have questions and you want to type those in now, we're happy to answer them. But I do just want to go over a couple of the questions that I know came in during Claudia and Neeraj and Ellie's presentation. And one was about AP credit. And just to reiterate what we covered, that we will give you credit for 4 or 5 on AP exams, most AP exams. We don't offer credit for Physics 1 because that's not a class that we offer at WPI, but if you go to our website and you just type in AP credit in our search engine, you'll see some information come up about that. We had a couple other questions about the global projects, and unfortunately, given the circumstances with the pandemic right now, our students who will be coming back to campus for A term and B term will not be going abroad to those global project centers, but a decision has not yet been made on C term and D term. So my fingers are crossed, because I know one of you, Neeraj or Ellie, I can't remember which one, said you were going away, and I want you to have that experience. But then I know also a question came up about letters of recommendation. And I know it can be really hard to pick that one teacher. So we'll definitely have the one that comes from your guidance counselor, and then we'll have at least one from your teacher. Computer science is absolutely a recommendation from a teacher that would certainly be acceptable at WPI. And I know sometimes it's hard to narrow it down to just one teacher, and feel free to submit more than one if that's the case. And but you don't have to submit 4, 5, or 6. That's definitely not necessary. Let's see, and another question that we got was about interviews. As Claudia mentioned, they are optional, they're not required. They're a great way to have another conversation with someone in the admissions office, whether it's a counselor like myself or Claudia, or a student associate that works in our office. Unfortunately, at this time, those are all happening virtually via Zoom. So we don't have any in-person opportunities for that at this time. Should that become a possibility in the fall, we'll definitely update our website and we'll let you know. But you can go right to our website and schedule those. And it'll just be a Zoom conversation with either, there'll be a couple of us on the call, which is nice because it will give you that opportunity. In most circumstances, we'll have a student associate joining us. So it's another way to connect with a current student. Let's see, what other questions? Any other questions from the group? I know you're getting tons of great information because you're participating in Frontiers, but we definitely want to be a resource for you. And you know, it goes without saying, we certainly understand, especially those that are rising seniors, this is just not kind of a typical year. Your junior year wasn't a typical year. Your senior year is probably not going to start off that way either. And just know that we certainly understand that. And we know that every school is going to be doing things a little bit differently. And we're going to absolutely be flexible in that regard.
I will, third way I'm thinking to share, I will share my email in case anybody has additional questions. So that you have that information and can contact me if you would like to. I just shared it in the, oh, it went to, actually, I don't know if I have that ability. Oh, I do.
I think you can put it in the Q&A too.
Oh, we got an additional question.
Oh, you go, Claudia.
What % of applicants go test optional? So what percentage of our applicants go test optional? Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I think from last year we saw about 10% will typically go test optional.
Yes, that we typically, most students typically do submit their test scores, but the number was definitely higher this year of students that opted to not submit scores. And we anticipate, obviously, with everything going on with the pandemic and test centers not being able to administer tests, that number will be significantly higher. And for us, it truly is, it's up to the student whether or not they want to submit those scores. Mm-hmm. It looks like we have a question about demonstrated interest. That's not something that we track specifically at WPI, but we certainly do want to see that students know what we're about, what our campus community is about. Certainly you've learned today, especially with Neeraj and Ellie sort of sharing their experience through the WPI plan, that we roll out academics a little bit differently on campus. We're very collaborative. There's a lot of project work and teamwork. And so it's really important to us that students know that about WPI and our campus community. So attending a virtual information session like you're doing right now, attending Frontiers, maybe we have virtual campus tours that are live right now. They're virtual, but they're led by a couple current students. So those are all great ways that you can learn more about WPI, because the fit piece is really important to us. We want to bring students to campus that want to roll up their sleeves and do that project work in that collaborative environment. There's not necessarily an advantage for students who attend the Frontiers program in terms of admission to WPI. But what is really nice about the Frontiers program is that it gives you a snapshot of what it would be like to be part of the WPI community, because you're learning a lot about our project-based curriculum and teamwork and collaboration. And so it's a great way for us to see that a student might be a nice fit at WPI. Let's see, it looks like we have a question about students who are accepted for this fall to defer, and if so, will they be required to reapply? So students who apply to WPI for this coming fall that were accepted, they are able to defer either for the full year. So they would defer for a year and join our campus community next fall, in the fall of 2021, or they actually could defer what we would consider a semester. So they could defer starting in late August and they could join our campus community in January. So typically if a student is going to defer, they can make that request after they've enrolled at WPI, and we do ask students in a typical year, to defer until the next academic year. But this year, given all the circumstances surrounding COVID and the pandemic, we are letting students who would be part of the class of 2024, we are letting them to defer for A term and B term and start with us in January during C term. Next year's class coming in for 2025, the class of 2021, most of you now, I don't know if that same defer policy will be in place. And I think that's all the questions I have right now, Claudia, so we might be good.
All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. If you have any questions, please be in touch. And I hope you have a pleasant enjoy the rest of your summer. I know it's very different than other summers, but I wish you the best and I hope you enjoy the rest of Frontiers.
Have a great night. Thanks for joining us.